Well, all right, y'all. All across the USC, Compton, Watts, Bay to LA. Pomona, California, from valley to valley, we represent that killer Cali. So if you keeping it real on your side of your town, you tune in to Gangsta Chronicles.
Gangsta Chronicles, we gon' tell you how it goes.
If I lie, my nose will grow like Pinocchio. We gon' tell you the truth and nothing but the truth.
Gangsta Chronicles, this is not your average show.
You're now tuned into the real MC8, Big James, and Big Steel.
This is strictly from the streets.
Hello.
We represent the James.
What more can I say, man? We got some certified.
It's a lot to say about these two fellas here, and it's about time that we had a show like this, because not only me, not only cats that's been on the streets and unaware of the information that they about to share with us, a lot of us brothers need to hear this, because a lot of us been misled. I had the privilege of knowing this man right here, and seeing his get down and understanding my position and my place to be where I was at. And I just want everybody to listen and understand where these two men are coming from. It's totally different from what we heard. We're about to see. We're about to see. I think this is going to be the one.
Well, man, you know, I know they got a long history, man. Pick a year. Take me to 71.
71.
Right, Melvin Farmer and my companion and running mate, Ayatollah Marvin. We represent credible messengers around the globe, because it's out of New York where we work with Mayor Bowles in New York where it created. But we're the first representatives from Compton in Los Angeles to where we deal with redefining the community. So tonight's show is going to take place in the year, and I'm glad you said the year, 1971, because that's where we're going to start. But as you're going to see at the end of this show, that's where I parted.
So basically, you finna give us a tale of the real hood, so to speak.
We're going to take you back in history where we ain't telling you of stories we've heard. We're telling you of men that have done. All my friends had either 30 arrests by 17, or convicted of a homicide, or had been in jail over 30 times, and usually all three of them had occurred. So we're going back to an era to where you'll fit hear eyewitness testimony, because we got to give all things to God by faith, because a lot of times the only thing stronger than a man's pride is a mother's love. So we have to drop our pride, and we're here to address something that could affect the nation, where we feel the youths of today, where there's no color lines, no cuts, to where we feel as a unit that the juvenile justice system must be addressed when we're talking about black issues and equality and justice in America. I don't believe where you can march where your feet bleed, as opposed to when we're in jail. We know that you can say all you want, but if you can't put something on that paper, no changes occurred. You're not coming home.
Exactly.
So we go into the papers where we feel it's three areas I address.
Right.
I'm with coalition of credible message, but I'm also with an organization out of Queens, New York, called Code Black Coalition, and one of the members is Pat Robinson, executive director of the Colin Kaepernick Know Your Rights Camp. I work with her on this. We have a co-host and do a project called Think Twice. So when whatever we say, we want you to think twice. It's always two sides to a pancake. So we want to be fair. But now we're going to take you back in a time to where we're going to try to put some eye drop in your ear. So when it come out, everything will be crystal clear. Because we're going to vote by facts, not artifacts. That was then, this is now. So let's get the show started. Mark, when you started off and was going to the criminal justice system, because we're fit to address the juvenile fitness here, where we believe that these kids are being violated behind committing a crime at 15, and then because the clock don't stop, that the punishment turned to a death sentence when they couldn't vote, they couldn't go out and drink, and they couldn't get driver's license. So why would you go and take something that happened there and see what I'm saying?
Okay, well, let's take it back a little bit and tell us how, as young adolescents, so to speak, was the scene back in '71? How you gentlemen,
we conducted ourselves.
Where we was from, where you was from, how you got started. What was the move behind, the formation of what we established?
Yes. Now. The formation and the crystallization of the Crips and Bloods as they known today, in a nutshell. 1971, that's when West Side, East Side, and Compton was then. There was no sets, was no colors. Tookie Nim was, he was in fact at Brookings, because Donald Archie, Sweetback, introduced him. So during that time, they all had, I would look at their demeanors, their characters, their styles, and their grace. That's what I got from Tookie, because don't forget, if I'm 14, they're adults. That's why the year starts at 71. Okay. So now, they never had, they might have had squabbles, but usually when I seen Buddha got killed, I was there and watched them whisper. They had another one, Bub got killed, that was one of them. So when a murder happened in them days, it usually was a personal dispute that was handled internally as opposed to somebody coming. And then, now the next group come because of the Ballou murder, that really took all the West Side from Horace Mann out, because the juveniles that were involved got out of state release, everybody else went to prison, and that's when you came with the West Side, where it lasted from 71. Now these the juveniles that take over, because when the murder happened, another murder happened, and I hate to go back into this because when I speak, it's going to open wounds for both sides, victim and suspect. So we're going to go with a name named DG, and I can say this because this is a fact. No, we're going to go to Valerie Briscoe Hooks and what we could get away with in 71 all the way to 75. That way it won't be where we talking where somebody can go and play a hate and say you telling secrets. So this public knowledge.
Snitching, so to speak.
Yeah, no, but they don't know what snitching is.
Okay.
That's when you do. Let's get it going. So now we're going to go back to Valerie Briscoe Hooks, and my condolences to you, and condolences to the young man that got slain 1 year to the day later. Valerie Briscoe Hooks, if you look at her biography, she says she was inspired by her brother's death, where he got shot during training, and it was gunfire between youths shooting at Lock High. But he also say when one of the brothers talked about it, that he said it seemed like it was common occurrences. That's what the newspaper said. Now, this is probably, if she's 14, this is 73, 74. So anyway, the suspect go and tell his mama he did it and tell, basically, I think I killed somebody. She take him to juvenile hall, and she tell him, and they should have went to court. He sat in court a year, and they say, we have no law to try him. And they let him go. Then 1 year later, when he got out, the same day he got out, this is how karma go. He got killed where they was waiting on him. Now, the more thing to make it official with me is the fact that I know the victim name, and he's never been mentioned because he a juvenile. You only could know if he was there. Howard Morrison was in the 9th grade, and he called him Vamp, and he got killed. My boy got killed when he was 14, because when I walked over there to see him after he got out, when I got there, he was dead. So I don't like talking too much about that era, but those are one of the things that could come where your behavior, to where they said because of the public safety, we have to judge when does rehabilitation stop, because by then we don't have 40 of us. There was nothing we can do. Carjacking, sight out. Tattoos wasn't even thought about. Violence, let me see what else you could get away that was good. Extortion. When we took cars And I learned from Odie, and everybody know Odie got killed, so we'll go to Odie. This time it's to you, my brother. He got killed. Odie started Block, was Melvin Hardy who started Block. You got UG, United Underground on the west side, because that's where I'm from, but I can cover the rest, but I'm going to keep it where these are facts in my life. It went from the west side, when that started, was Michael Christian, Barefoot Pookie, O'Neal Brown, Babyface, Tony States. It's a gang of us, but we formed the west side. Then that didn't last too long because that era, after the 72, that's when the gang and the change where we could kill or where you can pull the trigger. Because by the time I was 21, I'm under a law to this day where if I ever be seen with a gun or get caught with one, I'm up under trigger lock. And that on you can get. And anybody know, this to my homeboy Wood Rat, and you always hear me say rest in peace. So this is a lesson. This could save your life. My boy Wood Rat, he got 20 years, Compton. Did 20 years for right when he was getting ready to go home from Folsom after the war. They come and say, hey man, even though you beat the case, we got you, because we signed the paper together. And that's when I didn't even know about it. But I learned from him never get caught with a gun again, because he did 20 years where he beat the case and the Fed said, don't matter, you've been using guns. So we all was getting shut out. So it was basically the Wild Wild West during that era, but it was unity. There was no, it was strictly a blood versus a Crip, if they was called that. On our side of town, you had 5'9" Brims, the Van Ness boys, Donald Ray, Fat Butchie, Gerald McMillan, they need to let him out. Swede County, rest in peace. Then you had the Inglewood family, Douglas Green, since 1972. That's 48 years ago. Y'all talking about 48 hours. Big difference. So the atmosphere, we could do what we wanted to do. Then in 75, they caught up to it.